Good evening, and thanks for staying up late with us tonight. I'm Brooke Buckner here with meteorologist Simone Thomas, and we hope you've been enjoying your Saturday. I know it has been a really hot one. You spent a lot of time outside today.
Glad to be back in the air.
I bet you are.
Thank you, Jesus. But it was a pretty spicy day, not just in the capital city, but across central Arkansas. We saw those temperatures in much of the lower 90s across the board. Now, that reading of 80 in Pine Bluff, I do think is a malfunction, but we really saw the lower to middle 90s, of course. When you factor in the humidity, it felt a lot hotter. We saw some heat indices as high as 105, which prompted today's weather impact alert and the heat advisory. Now, we'll see round 2 of that for your Sunday. Round 2 of the weather impact alert and the heat advisory, same time as today, 11 a.m. to 8 p.m. Same story, heat indices fluctuating between 103 and 108. Here's a look across the state of who's going to be under that heat advisory tomorrow. A lot of the same places as today. What you'll notice is that southernmost row of counties not included in this. Now, technically, those are under the responsibility of the National Weather Service in Shreveport and in Jackson, Mississippi. But right now, of course, all of those Little Rock counties are under that heat advisory. We'll talk more about the rest of the weekend and a preview to next week coming up in your 11-day outlook.
Thanks, Simone. Tonight in downtown Little Rock, protesters made their voices heard on the changes coming to Rock Region Metro next month. You may remember the changes announced this past week. Starting Monday, July 28th, service frequency will be reduced on many routes. Officials say it's not about cutting coverage, but about adjusting to what they say is a growing shortage of drivers, as they've lost nearly 20% of their drivers over the past 5 months. Those opposing the changes, however, say the shortage of drivers falls on Rock Region Metro.
We're having a lot of unnecessary terminations. They're terminating on any and all things at Rock Region Metro. Things that can be written warnings or verbal warnings, they're going straight to termination.
Again, those changes are expected to go into effect July 28th, and you can look at the new schedules online at rrmetro.org. President Trump speaking tonight after announcing the U.S. has, quote, completed our very successful attack on the 3 nuclear sites in Iran. This map shows where those locations are. In his address at the White House, the president said Iran must now make peace, and if they don't, future attacks will be, quote, far greater and a lot easier. Meanwhile, some on Capitol Hill say the strikes are unconstitutional. This year, the 16th annual Juneteenth into Rock Festival took over historic 9th Street downtown, and there were some big names as a part of the celebration. THV11's Faith Woodard sat down with singer-songwriter Elle Varner, as well as Grammy Award-winning artist October London, before they stepped on stage tonight. Here's what London had to say about Juneteenth and his career in an interview you can only see here on THV11.
Let's start with your influence from your parents. You come from a musical background. Tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, you know, I grew up listening to all the greats, you know, Marvin Gaye, obviously, the Ozzy Brothers, you know, just so many artists, Frankie Beverly and Mays.
Yeah.
But my dad used to tour, so he played guitar. He doesn't do it anymore. I've been trying to get him in the studio, but, you know, that takes a little bit. But he used to tour and open up for a lot of artists like Earth, Wind, and Fire. So, you know, being in the house and then playing that music all the time really helped kind of get me acclimated to old school music and just music in itself.
Marvin Gaye specifically, it seems, has influenced a lot of your career with the rebirth of Marvin. Tell me why Marvin was so influential to your career.
Well, first off, Marvin was really smooth. You know, out of all the artists, it's like that dude, he just can get up there, open shirt, sweating. And
just chains glistening.
Exactly,
you know?
exactly. Just do his thing. He didn't have to do a whole bunch of dancing. So, you know, it meant a lot just kind of watching him and seeing him perform in front of, I mean, not only just all the fans, but just the women. And
so you signed to Death Row Records.
Yeah.
That is a huge deal.
Yeah.
Tell me about what that relationship means to you and your relationship with Snoop Dogg.
It means a lot. It was scary at first.
Yeah.
You know, I was like, okay, I'm signing to Death Row Records.
Right.
When he first got it, I was in the room when he got the call that deal was done. And you know, I was just congratulating him, and we were working on music and stuff. I was like, well, great, man. You're probably about to sign all these rap artists. It's going to be back to that gangster rap thing. It's going to be crazy. He was like, no. You're going to be the flagship for Death Row. And I'm like, what? I'm like, that doesn't make sense. I'm R&B. He was like, yeah, I
Right.
know. He's like, I want to change all that. I want to change the narrative behind Death Row. And now here we are putting out this old school music, going to put out some newer modern R&B. And then also Death Row's for the first time bringing country as well with my alter ego, Sam Nash.
Okay.
Yeah, so
we
I'm
love
doing
that.
country too. So.
Alter ego, tell me about that, because that's a wow factor.
Yeah,
right there.
Sam Nash. Yeah, actually the first official single out of Death Row comes out, I think, this week.
Oh my gosh.
So I'm already doing interviews and stuff like that as Sam Nash in that character, all that. So you're gonna
Oh my goodness,
get.
we're one of the first to
Yeah,
hear that
absolutely,
you're-
absolutely,
oh my
yeah.
goodness.
You actually are the first interview to even
Wow.
talk about it. Really, like.
So it's you stepping into country. Talk about that significance of what it means to be African American in this industry and in this genre in country.
Yeah. Well, they say it. Country first started with African Americans. So,
Right.
I feel like I've always had a place there.
Yeah.
It's a heavy genre to be a part of, and if I'm able to be welcomed into the country music vault, then I'm happy with it. But hopefully this new single called Countryman, hopefully it'll take off.
Now talk about what it means to be on stage. When you look out at the faces of the people who listen to your music, I mean, what does that feel like to you as an artist to stand up there and be like, I'm singing my stuff and these people are loving it? Talk about that moment.
I mean, things have happened pretty quick, so I'm still really grasping it. It's like I look out there and I'm like, wow, there's all these thousands of people there, but they're singing the songs. It's different if they're just standing there and they don't know the songs and you're like this new artist, which is great too, but hearing thousands of people sing your lyrics, I mean, front to back is insane.
Oh, I randomly burst out and I'm like, take me.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, randomly.
When you hear a stadium do that,
Yeah.
it's crazy.
That full interview will soon be on THV 11+, but the exclusives are not done. Later in tonight's show, we will show you what Faith learned after her sit-down with Elle Varner. Meanwhile, today marks 1 year since a gunman opened fire at a grocery store in Fordyce, killing 4 people and hurting 10 others. The man accused in the rampage, Travis Posey, is awaiting trial at the Ouachita County Jail. He's facing dozens of charges, including 4 counts of capital murder. His trial is set to start on August 4th in Dallas County, and as he awaits his fate, the people of Fordyce wait for justice. On today's 1-year anniversary, some in the community came together to remember those they lost. THV 11's Carter Thweet joined them in Fordyce today and shows us how they honored their lives.
Brooke, this was behind the Fordyce Civic Center today, a crowd of around 50 braving the heat for a balloon release. And I talked to event organizers, people from Fordyce and from the surrounding area, even people who were at the Mad Butcher grocery store when the shooting took place. And they all say the same thing. While the memories are painful, events like these help to keep the memory of Callie, Roy, Shirley, and Ellen alive.
It's important for the people that we lost. That way their names aren't forgotten, their memories aren't forgotten. We don't do this for us or to get recognition from us. This is to remember the people that fell.
It meant so much to me to be out there. Even though it wasn't a big gathering as the first time, I still wanted to make sure I supported my family, which is Fordyce.
And event organizers tell me they plan to have an event every year going forward to continue to remember. And as far as the city of Fordyce, many who were there today said it takes a while to feel safe again after something like this happens, but things are slowly getting better with support from across the state of Arkansas making a huge difference.
Thank you, Carter. A year, 5 years, a decade, no matter how much time has passed, the pain of losing someone never goes away. There are still 4 people missing from the community of Fordyce. People with families, people with friends, people with purposes and dreams that will never be realized. Tonight, we want to say their names and remember each with help from the community that loves them most. This is Ellen Schrum. The 81-year-old was killed while shopping for groceries she planned to use to make meals for those in need. In the days that followed, her family told Governor Sarah Huckabee Sanders they want her to be remembered for the light and joy she brought to others. 63-year-old Shirley K. Taylor was also killed inside the store that day. According to reports, she was checking out when the gunman started shooting. Known as Meemaw, her daughter Angela described Taylor as a great person who loved her kids and grandchildren. She loved to cook and crochet and took care of others. Angela called her strong and the hardest working woman she has ever known. Roy Sturgis was shot at the grocery store and survived the incident, but unfortunately later died at the hospital there in Fordyce. According to people who were in the store, the 50-year-old was shot while trying to save others. His friends and family praised his bravery and say they'll never forget his sacrifice. Others in the community remembered Sturgis as a good man and a great father. And life had just started for Callie Weems. The 23-year-old was a nurse at the Dallas County Medical Center and was getting ready to celebrate her daughter's first birthday. Callie was shot and killed in the grocery store that day, but not before trying to help others. Investigators say she was shot while giving aid to another victim. One Arkansas state trooper described it as one of the most selfless acts he has ever seen. We hope to hear from Callie's family and others who lost someone so they could share their stories, but they've been asked by prosecutors to hold off as the trial for the accused gunman draws closer. However, Callie's mother, Helen, was gracious enough to send us a statement on the anniversary of her daughter's tragic death. It says in part, quote, "From June 22nd through every day since, I have awakened to the painful reality that my baby girl no longer walks beside me here, but I've also clung to the truth that she is alive in heaven. That's how I've made it this far. God has a plan for every tear, every scream, every heartbreak, and one day in his time it will all be revealed," close quote. Helen also shared that Callie was honored with the Arkansas Hospital Association Nurse of the Year Award and the Daisy LPN of the Year Award after her death last year. She says, quote, "In remembering Callie, I want everyone to think of her faith, her courage, her deep love for family and friends, her infectious laughter, and her joy for life." And tomorrow night at 10, we'll look back at that tragic day that forever changed Fordyce and show how the community is staying Fordyce strong. We're back right after this.